Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, with its birth rate tumbling, China is to change tack and encourage people to have more children. But will Chinese women heed the government's call? Also, a spike in reported sex crimes this year in France is said to be caused by the Me Too campaign. We'll be talking to French writer Adelaide Bon as to why some of her fellow citizens still refuse to take sexual assault seriously. And the women in Egypt who are challenging their religious leaders by simply singing. But we begin in China, where, once notorious for its strict one-child policy, the country is now considering proposals to push women to have more babies. Beijing is worried that having one of the lowest birth rates in the world will undermine its efforts to stimulate the economy. It comes as its two-child policy, introduced several years ago, has failed to create a much-needed baby boom, with some analysts warning China could be the next Japan. This report from our correspondents Katrina Yu and Angelique Forget.
When Angela Bao was pregnant with her 2-year-old Jackie, she assumed he would be an only child. For almost 4 decades, most families in China had been banned from having more children. But in 2016, the year Jackie was born, that changed.
It was then that they announced the two-child policy, which we thought was great.
The two-child policy aimed to boost China's birth rate and ensure economic growth in the face of a rapidly aging population. For Angela and her husband, it was an opportunity they couldn't miss. But there's a problem. Not enough Chinese women are having more children. The cost of raising a child is rising fast, and the country's birth rate has dropped, falling by 3.5% in 2017. Now Beijing is taking steps towards ending birth limits altogether, and for the first time since 1979, a new draft civil code leaves out any mention of restrictions on family size. But some say the moves have come too late. By 2050, more than 30% of China's population will be over the age of 60. If the birth rate continues falling, Liu Qingbin says the country risks running out of workers.
If you live in big cities, you don't notice the population problem, as there are still a lot of young people around. But if you go to the second or third tier cities, you'll notice fewer young people, more elderly, and less of vigorous economic activity.
In major cities such as Shanghai, most women say having more than one child is simply out of the question.
The pressure is really high, especially in Shanghai. There's a big difference between 1 and 2 children.
Have you considered 2?
No, it's hard enough with 1.
Some provincial governments have set population targets, pledging to push families to procreate. But it's a controversial strategy. And according to Chen Yaya, many Chinese women are tired of what they consider government interference in their personal lives.
Without substantial benefits, slogans alone won't help much. Some governments have gone way too far when it comes to encouraging women to have babies. It feels like they're being forced to do so. Many women are against this.
While possible solutions are being debated, China's birth rate so far shows no sign of picking up. Baby boom or bust, more dramatic action may be needed to defuse China's demographic time bomb.
Now, here in France, latest figures on reported cases of sexual assault have noticeably risen in the last year. From January this year through to September, compared to the same period last year, an additional 10,000 cases were reported. This as other crime rates decreased, according to the French Interior Ministry. A reflection, some say, of the success of the Me Too movement, or balance ton porc as it's known in French. It's also despite a letter written earlier this year by 100 notable French women, including the actor Catherine Deneuve, which defended a man's right to make a pass at a woman, arguing it was indispensable to sexual freedom. So why is it that some French people still struggle to understand why sexual harassment and assault should be viewed as serious crimes? Joining me in the studio today is French feminist and writer Adelaide Bon, who's written a book about her own experiences having been raped by a stranger at the age of 9. Adelaide, thanks for coming in. What made you write a book about your experiences about being raped at such an early age?
Well, it took me years to understand that all the anxiety crisis I was going through and all the violent images that I would think of and all the guilt I felt was related to that event in my young age. And when I discovered it and when the word rape was given to me, it was like lightning in the sky. It was very important. And then I started to understand how words were missing from my language, to help me understand all those years where I was so lost and so lonely. And when I started to write, I understood that writing was the only way I had to find back my own voice and to be able to express it to other people and to find myself again.
You have said that the French minimise rape, that they don't take it seriously enough.
Yes, they don't. Most of the time when someone is raped, nothing's going on. The justice doesn't do much, or it is disqualified. It goes from crime to a lower tribunal, and most of the time people tell us, well, you should get over it. It just happened to you once, and then get over it. There's a very few understanding on the massive people in France of the consequence, the long-term consequence of rape on a victim. And I think it's mostly a language problem.
So give me examples of where language plays a part.
Well, when I was 9, I was asked to describe what happened to me, and it was very difficult for me because I had no knowledge at all about sexuality since I was 9. And so I told them that I had to rub or touch the genitals of my perpetrator. And so the officer told me, well, this is a caresse. And caresse in French, it means gentle and soft touch. And I said, no way, this is not a caress, nothing at all, that's a complete different word. But I had no word to say that thing. And in French, there is a lot of words that are lacking to express sexual violence, and we have to use the one of sexual intercourse, and so it all gets very confused and minimized.
So are attitudes changing though? I mean, are you seeing a generational shift with younger women?
Yes, I do, and it pleased me a lot.
Why is that happening?
A lot of different reasons. First of all, the development of the digital communities, and that the fact that people were able to talk about it privately in the security of your own computer.
Which is what we saw with the Balance ton porc campaign.
Exactly. But the Balance ton corps campaign is very interesting about the words. It's not Me Too. It's a very violent sentence, and I think it shows how in France, to be able to speak up, we needed to be very angry to be able to,
because let me just explain for the viewer who doesn't know French, it's squeal on your pig, and as you say, it's a very aggressive phrase, isn't it?
It is.
So, given the fact that there obviously is a generational shift, but obviously things still need to change. And so what still needs to change, in your opinion?
Well, we need to change the laws to protect better women and children, and to simplify the laws so they can be easily used. We need more money to have more courts and judge that would be able to get justice for all the victims, because a lot more victims are going to the police officer, but then it doesn't follow after that, and so then nothing's happening.
So there's no follow through as such?
No follow through, and also I think we really need to educate people about the consequences of rape and how it can contaminate an entire life, and because most of the people don't know what is PTS, post-traumatic disorder, and how it affects one's life.
Adelaide Bon, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us.
Thank you for having me.
And finally, in many Orthodox religions, the sound of a woman singing is seen as a taboo, with concern it may arouse desire among men. Haxi Myers-Belkin reports on how in Egypt a group of women, however, are challenging traditional Muslim views by becoming religious singers.
Shema El Nubi's voice soars towards a rapt audience. She first began singing religious songs as a child, but she later realized that was unusual. Women in Egypt have traditionally recited the Quran. Few have ever sung it. Initially, Shema came up against fierce opposition from people who believe women are forbidden to sing prayers, but that's now changing.
When people understand that I've been doing this for a long time and that I do this because I love it, they, thanks to God, like to come and listen to me.
El Hor is Egypt's first all-female religious band. They're determined to keep doing what they love.
We don't care about those who say women's voices should be private, forbidden, or those who say girls shouldn't sing. Women's voices are not private. This is not a hadith of the Prophet.
And Sheikh Mahmoud Zain, a fellow religious singer, agrees.
Prayers are for all men and all women, so why shouldn't women praise Prophet Muhammad? Prayer is not limited to a certain gender.
For Cairo's female religious singers, a welcome shift towards equality in music and in prayer.
And that's it for now. You can also connect with us via our Facebook page, that of course being France24.51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. So until our next show, bye for now.